Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Telecast-tv. You're watching a conversation with Reno Omokri, speaking about what he initially said about President Tinubu, how he accused him of being a drug lord, and also he said after everything he went to apologize to the president one-on-one. He also said he supports the electoral act of transmission of results, but he said it will not be possible because of network glitch, because of there are some places network cannot cover. And he also said that Peter Obi is not a threat to them, but he was asked that every time he's speaking about Peter Obi, it seems Peter Obi is a major threat to the President Tinubu administration. He said Peter Obi is a walkover for them. And also, he said President Tinubu has fulfilled all his campaign promises which he has made, and other countries are citing Nigeria as an example to copy from. Please, is Reno Omokri saying the truth or is making a false statement? Share your opinion, share your thoughts. Endeavor to watch this video to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, like. Don't miss trending videos.
Conversation forward, we'll be examining the implications of Senate position, what this means, the optics of it, the political tension it has triggered, and what it could mean for Nigeria's democracy. Our guest tonight is an ambassador designate and an APC supporter, Mr. Reno Omokri. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. This is perhaps the first time you are appearing on national TV after your appointment. And your screening.
Yes.
Which came with a lot of criticism, actually.
Well, we passed that bridge.
And one of those strong critics is Shore, who doesn't believe that you deserve to represent the country anywhere around the globe. In fact, he's one of those who think that you are an hypocrite.
Well, his lawyer played my videos in court, and then it leaked. Obviously, I believe it was from Sowore. But here's the thing. Sowore was accused in court. He's been tried for criminal defamation. And when he went to court, he said, well, Reno also did it. No, I did not do it. Listen, I did say some negative things about the president between 2022 and 2023. And then when the president was, but on the day of his inauguration, which was Monday, May 29, 2023, I asked Nigerians, listen, let's support this man pending the decision of the Supreme Court. Now, on Thursday, October 26, when the Supreme Court passed judgment, on that same day, I said, listen, I accept the judgment and we should put everything behind us. I have taken back whatever I said. And then 2 days later, I was on television. That's on Saturday, the 28th of October. And I withdrew all of those allegations because the Supreme Court had given judgment and cleared it. And don't forget, I went to Chicago State University. Nobody, all of these people that they were talking, they didn't go. September 19, 2022, I went there. I was the first person to say that this man actually attended Chicago State University, even though it was against my own political interest. But then I continued to maintain about the forfeiture judgment because I did go to the Chicago court and I confirmed that. But then when the Supreme Court passed the judgment, I said, no, this man was never convicted. It was client funds. And I'm a lawyer. You've got accountants, people who represent people in fiduciary positions. You can have a client, and then that client, his funds are convicted. And that's what happened in this case. And then when that judgment was passed, I said I was sorry. I came on several news stations. I went on News Central, and I used the word that the president has been exonerated. I have a master's in law from England. The word exonerated means that the president has been absolved by a judicial body. And don't forget, Wednesday, June 11, 2025, I was here with you. You asked me that question, and again on this program, on this platform, I said I dropped those allegations because they were not true. At the time I said those things, I believed they were true. But then, when I found out they were not true, especially first the Chicago State University affair, and then later on after the Supreme Court judgment, I came out and I dropped those things. And then even what the public does not know is that I sought private audience with the president. October 1, 2024. I apologized to him to his face, and I told him I wasn't being malicious. At the time I said those things, I believed them. When I found out that it wasn't true, your own party, did not go to Chicago. I went to Chicago against my own political interests. I cleared you. I told the world. It was after I spoke that the BBC, then other papers, other media all around the world began to say, yes, the man did attend Chicago State University. So I don't understand why Sowore is doing this. If you go to court and you are charged with a crime, you don't say, this person did it. No, that is a very childish defense. You come out and then you defend yourself because there is a situation in law. It's a principle. It's called suitable target for maximum impact. No government on earth can afford to prosecute everybody who commits a who commits a crime. So what you do is that you pick a suitable target for maximum impact to deter people from committing crimes. And that's what they've done with Sowore. So he should defend himself. I mean, I worry about Sowore's state of mind. Because if you recall, when he was asked, he's a presidential candidate, how do you want to improve the economy of Nigeria? He said, well, we should grow marijuana, Indian hemp. I mean, think about that. This is a drug that is considered a Class B drug in the United Kingdom. It is banned in several countries. This man said that is the key to Nigeria's economic survival. Listen, if Nigeria's ground is fertile enough to produce Indian hemp, then it stands to reason that it is fertile enough to produce more valuable cash crops. And I can give you 5 of them. Ginseng, saffron, medicinal mushrooms, exotic flowers, wasabi. Each of these 5 cash crops are more valuable, and then there's a higher demand for them than Indian hemp.
I mean, you told me in an interview that if offered, you will never take anything from this government.
No, that's not what I said. I said if I told you, you asked me a question that if Tinubu asks me to work with him, I said that I will not. And I said that the word I used was that it is not in my DNA. Right? That's what I said.
Has your DNA changed?
No, my DNA has not changed.
But you are eating your words right now.
No, I'm not eating my words.
Okay.
When I met with administration officials, and then, look, I can't say everything that was said. I explained to them, I said, this is what I'd said. I cannot take certain positions because I'd said that I cannot work for this, because of certain things, particularly because of the things that I said. However, I never said that I cannot work for Nigeria. As an ambassador, I am working for Nigeria. I'm going to be an ambassador of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So this appointment
country.
is an exception of your philosophy.
Very clearly.
So if you were giving a ministerial appointment, you wouldn't have taken it.
You know what?
Or a special
Let me ask you a
advisor
question. Do you even know? I mean, I cannot say everything. So, look, I've just said this here. When I had discussions, I said, look, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, I cannot do this because of what I had said and because of the positions I've held. However, I can do this because then I will be working for Nigeria. But even at that, my position on President Bola Tinubu has changed. I believe he is the best thing for Nigeria. Why?
And you don't think that you looked to some Nigerians who are watching now as a hypocrite?
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of Nigerians are very emotional. I did, in fact. I mean, was I not the one that went to Chicago State University, and when I went there, I verified that the president attended? All the people that were talking, no, he did not attend. No, that was emotions. I did, in fact.
Were you paid to change your stance?
I wasn't paid to change my stand. What did they? I mean, I was a very strong supporter of Waziri Atiku Abubakar when I went to Chicago State University. What happened? I saw the truth and I said the truth, even though the truth was against my own political interest. I deal with facts. I'm not an emotional person. So when the facts change, I change with them. Only a stupid person does not change when the facts change.
All right. Let's go into to what has become a national conversation, which is the electronic transmission of results, and the fears are that, well, we are towing a line where some folks are staging the process for which an election can be easy to rig. And that's why the agitation that there must be electronic transmission of result. The position of the Senate yesterday is even being rejected by some elites in the society and many Nigerians who believe that that is not enough. The barest minimum that Nigerians can take is instantaneous, real-time electronic transmission of result. Why do you think it's difficult for that to be achieved?
Okay, I'm asking you a question, Sheung. Can you name a country in the world that they have real-time electronic transmission of results? Name a country.
And I'm the one.
So that's the thing now. The United States,
yeah.
I mean, today, I mean, some of these people, and including a senator who should know better, said that, listen, we should ask Starlink to give us the ability to do a real-time electronic transfer. Do you know this country where Starlink originates from? The United States. Even in the United States, there is no real-time transmission of election results. In the United States, so you are asking Starlink to give us what their country of origin has not gotten. Look, you have to understand something. These people, they are probably confused because they see on television in America when the elections are done that the results are done almost in real time. No, that's not the results. That is the media. The media, they work on what they call exit polls. So those exit polls, in most cases, is going to agree with what the Federal Electoral Commission, that's the body that conducts elections in the United States, does, which will come about a week later. However, it is wrong to take what the media is telling you. Because, I mean, if you look at what happened in 2000, you saw that because of the media, real time, the media projecting that President George Bush had won, Al Gore conceded. And then they found out that the media was wrong. And what happened? Al Gore called George Bush to withdraw his concession. You cannot rely on those kinds of things. So if you want to have electronic transmission of results, I support that. I don't think anybody who is going to be against that is patriotic.
All right. So this is the argument here. Transmitting the result electronically does not displace the physical copy of the result. And even when you hack into it, it doesn't change the physical copy. And those who debate will say, look, transmitting the electronic result gives a level of transparency. It allows citizens to be able to monitor. It allows people to be able to follow what is going on and allows for transparency and accountability in the process. And that's what Nigerians are asking for. It's a means of watching and monitoring because of the experience of 2023. Because people believe that there are those who are capable of manipulating election results. And when they do that, destinies of millions of people are being manipulated.
Everybody agrees to what you just said. Electronic transmission, yes, even the Senate agrees, the APC agrees, the President agrees. People agree to electronic transmission. The issue is these people asking for unrealistic policies of real-time electronic transmission.
Why is it unrealistic?
Because, I mean...
Did you watch the South African election?
The South African election...
There is a big screen where everyone could see the result as it was coming in.
No, that's not what happened in South Africa.
What happened in South Africa?
I've been to South Africa.
Did you monitor the election?
I did monitor the election.
But did you see at the central, in the capital, where there is a large screen at the election center where you could see all the results that were coming in? Same thing in Kenya. Same thing in Ghana.
Can I respond to that? Same thing in Nigeria. Same thing in Nigeria in the 2023 election. What you saw in South Africa on that big screen was when the election results were being transmitted, but not being transmitted in real time. What happened in South Africa is exactly what happened in 2023 in Nigeria. Election results can be transmitted electronically in Nigeria. However, and just like it's not just in Nigeria, it's also in the United States, there are going to be places where you don't have coverage because Nigeria is a large country. In the United States, even that is the most technologically advanced country in the whole world. There are huge swathes of the United States where they don't have coverage. So what is the solution? The United States Federal Electoral Commission allows what they call mail-in ballots. So people, they don't even go to the polling booths, they mail their ballots. So that's, I mean, it's common sense. Let's not just get carried away with emotions. Even in Peter Obi's village, Agulu, there are areas where you don't have coverage. Peter Obi is the largest shareholder in a bank. I'm not going to mention that bank. Last year, that bank, it got reported to the Central Bank of Nigeria that their real-time money transfers, their access to real-time banking app, access to real-time SSD service of that bank, I mean, a lot of their customers, huge swathes of their customers could not access real-time services. Now, this is a bank having about between 5 to 10 million customers. If they cannot deliver real-time money transfer services, and this happens to all banks, how can you expect INEC to deliver real-time electronic transmission of results?
But INEC said they can.
No, INEC said that they can do electronic transmission, not real-time electronic transmission of results.
So for the sake of our viewers and these conversations, whichever way anyone belongs in this country, is for the advancement, I believe, of our democracy. Either we get it right or get it wrong. It's detrimental to us or is advancing our cause. But the conversation here is that, and if you seated here, if you are on a flight, for example, and they offer you an in-flight internet, sometimes you get to a particular region and it fails.
Yeah.
And you're trying to send, sometimes you may not be able to make calls, or you can send me emails and messages. And once you send a message in flight and it's not delivering on WhatsApp, at the moment where there is no network, once you get to a network area, what happens is it gets delivered and the recipient gets it. And that's what a lot of Nigerians are saying. Do your own bit in doing the real time. Do it whenever you get into the network area, it's going to drop. And Nigerians are saying, put the law, let the law be more progressive rather than we retrogressing the hand of the law.
But they say that's the mistake that a lot of people are making, and this is what I talk about emotions. You are using WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a social media. You cannot compare a social media with a technologically advanced system of real-time transmission of election results. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Those people that say that, okay, Starlink should be consulted and Starlink should give us, do you understand something there, that if you get Starlink to start doing that, first and foremost, you are having data breach because you are giving the data of your citizens to a foreign power. No reasonable country on earth will do that. The United States, where Starlink comes from, even their Federal Electoral Commission will not do that. Because what it means is that Starlink and Elon Musk own Starlink. And Elon Musk, he has his own... Look, have you seen Elon Musk's interview? He did say, this is the owner of Starlink, that he does not even believe in electronic transmission of results, not real time. They were talking about electronic transmission of results because he said that it can be hacked. And I'm going to quote him, I have been coding since I was 19 years old, and I know that e-voting can be hacked.
Okay, let's take this conversation in this way. And yesterday I was explaining to our viewers, there are 3 legs on the election day for the electoral process. The first is accreditation. Second is voting. And the third is result transmission. In all of these 3 layers, only one leg has electronic or digital aspect to it, and which is our accreditation process. Our voting is manual, and our result transmission is also manual. There are those who believe that, and rationally speaking, we use an electronic device for accreditation, and it's worked. There was a time in this country that the law says if the card reader machine, which was what we were using before the beavers, if it fails, you can use the incident form. And we saw how rigging was perpetrated because of the incident form. That was scrapped after some Supreme Court judgment had established that the discretion given to officials of INEC could advance rigging process. So if the beavers, which is an important part of the electoral process, is working, which gives you instantaneous, digital, and electronic means of conducting the exercise, and is working everywhere in Nigeria. Without it, you cannot continue or you cannot do anything. Why can't it work for electronic result transmission? And I'm talking to you as an election expert.
Okay, because with the beavers, you already have data that is in your data bank. So all you're doing is you're capturing the data and you're comparing it to what you have. You're not creating something new and sending it. Now, you've got to realize something, Sheung. Look, if real-time transmission of election results was a good idea and was practicable, why isn't it being done in the United States? Why isn't it being done in the United Kingdom? So you've got to ask yourself these questions. Let's not be
We're not talking about e-voting.
Yes.
Which is different.
No, I didn't say e-voting.
E-voting, because those who talk about hacking of election results are missing it. Our law, the Constitution, see back physical, manual collation of results, which is the substantive, which is the primary way of getting results announced. The e-voting, and the e-transmission, a lot of people are getting it wrong. It's not your substantive. It's not your primary way of getting results. It's just a backup. It's just for citizens' engagement and citizen accountability. And I think a lot of people are not very informed about the process, and that's why they were fighting it. Because to the large extent, and as a lawyer, there are 4 legs into the version of the House of Reps. We talk about 1, real-time, simultaneous, electronic voting, and also confirmation that as it's happened, it has to be in the physical form and in the transmission form. Those are 4 legs in which the review of that section is talking about. In all of this, there's nothing that affects how, even if you hack into the IRFV input, it doesn't change the physical, which is a primary way of collation results.
And that is what we've been trying to explain to Nigerians, because it's very easy to get our people, just worked up and very emotional. You got to understand something. The reason why someone like Peter Obi is doing this is because they don't have a real party structure. And what do I mean? If you have a polling unit, you're meant to have your party agent in every polling unit. Once you have your party agent in every polling unit, it is impossible to rig. Because what happens there, that form EC8A, what happens there is this. The presiding officer signs and all the party agents sign. And so if you declare something at annex office that differs from that, then you can go to court, and that's what happened in court. You tender it. Now, what happens is that in the 2023 election, Labour Party did not have party agents in all the polling units. So because they didn't have party agents in all the polling units, in the polling units where they lost and they didn't have party agents, they used their imagination and said, oh, we must have been cheated. So the issue with them is this: ADC, Labour Party, I mean, it doesn't matter. Get your party agents in each of the polling units. In Nigeria, we cannot do real-time transmission of election results.
A lot of people will disagree with you on that.
I mean, okay.
But do you know the suspicion?
Yeah,
the
what's the
suspicion
suspicion?
is that the ruling APC wants to rig election. And the agitation on the opposition and civil society.
But listen to this.
But do you
No, let me respond to that. No, hang on. Let me respond to that. That doesn't make sense, because if you have, let's say it's even possible, and there's 100% coverage in Nigeria, and you have real-time transmission of election results. Are you aware that it is the printed EC8A form with the result and everything that is actually the primary documentary evidence? So if that form differs with what has been transmitted, it is that form that is actually taken in court. You understand what I just said? I've broken it down. So you have this paper form that the presiding officer signs, and then all the party agents sign. That is the real result. If that result is different, if it differs from what has been transmitted electronically, what has been transmitted electronically is null and void to the extent of its inconsistency with that document. So how can people rig?
Do you send money to, do you have anybody in the village, in the remote area where you send money to?
Well, I'll put it this way.
Oh, do you?
No, I'm going to answer
your question.
Allow me answer your question.
No, but yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you ask
because I see that you want to digress from that.
No, I'm not going to digress. I'm going to answer the question. Okay. I have tried to send money with using Peter Obi's bank, and the money has failed to get there. And that money has failed to get reversed. And then the person who did that transaction is here. I can ask him to come here. He made a complaint. And we are still waiting for that money to come back. This bank prides itself, I'm not going to mention the bank, prides itself as having the best internet facility in Africa. And yet they're having this issue. Now, this bank is not going to be with everybody, but a significant portion, and it's not just this bank, a lot of banks. So yes, banks do have the capacity for real-time money transfer, but it is not 100% safe.
Why are you so fixated about Peter Obi?
No,
it looks like Peter Obi makes you uncomfortable.
How can Peter Obi?
Are you worried about the possibility of Peter Obi coming back to the verve of political prominence?
A man who was caught on camera saying that he's declaring a religious war on Muslims. Anybody that believes that such a man can win an election in Nigeria is obviously delusional.
Are you worried, Mr. Omokri, that in the opposition who believes that what is going on is that your party that you support is jittery, and is worried that its popularity is far spent and doesn't have what it can carry through the election of 2027. And there are those who will say 2027 is the end of the Tinubu and the APC reign in Nigeria.
But
that's the opposition's belief. And they are working tactically on that.
Let's be factual. Let's not be emotional. If the opposition could not defeat a Bola Tinubu with about 20 governors in 2023, how are they going to be able to defeat him right now with 30 governors? If the opposition could not defeat the president when he had not fulfilled his campaign promises. How can they defeat him when he has fulfilled his campaign promises? Just last week, we saw that the IMF were on air, and I'm sure you watched it, saying that right now they go about from country to country telling them that if you want reforms that work, learn from Nigeria. Look, by the time this president took office, our GDP was so low. We had gone from the first in Africa to about the fourth. Right now, we have the second largest manufacturing capacity in Africa. We have added $67 billion to our GDP in 2 years. Our foreign reserves have gone from an almost low of in the low 30 billions to right now they are about 49.
Is the average person listening to this English that you're speaking?
Listen,
do they understand it?
Listen,
can they feel it? Can they see it?
Can I respond to that?
Those are the issues.
Can I respond to that? What the average person knows is this, is that since Bola became president, they had never had to queue at the petrol station to get fuel. Fuel is readily available. Fuel is inexpensive. In fact, this is the first government that we've seen since the Yar'Adua government where fuel has gone down in price multiple times. Not once, multiple times. So, in their pockets, they're feeling it. Do not allow yourself to be moved by these people who go to the National Assembly to go and protest. Those are elites. They are trying to snatch power. The average Nigerian has seen his... Oh, are we done?
We are done.
Come on now. The average Nigerian has seen his purchasing power increase. If you take $50 right now in Nigeria, convert it to Naira, what you buy from the market, you cannot buy. In any West African country, Nigeria has significantly more purchasing power.
What would you do if this government loses election in 2020?
That's democracy in action. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's democracy in.
You think ADC may not be able to defeat this government, or Labour Party, or any opposition?
Okay, let me ask you a question, please. I want to ask you a question. In the history of this country, has any party been able to win a presidential election without having a single state? So the best predictor. No. Let me answer the question. The best predictor of the future is the past. It has not happened. It will not happen. Look at.
So Bola Tinubu will win in 2027. That's your position.
The president right now is incredibly popular. When people look, before this man became president, you had states, about 1/3 of the states, they couldn't pay salaries. Now every state is paying salaries. Why? Because under Bola Tinubu, with the state they are receiving is about 300% what they were receiving under General Buhari.
Mr. Omokri, we're totally out of time. Sorry. Thank you so much indeed, Ambassador Designate Omokri. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
And thank you for having me, Sharon.